The Pilates rollover is a very dynamic exercise, meaning we're going to have changes in our foot position, in our leg position, as well as directions of when those changes are taking place. We're going to have two slow motion videos where I'm going to slowly talk you through the exercise, and then we will have a follow along at the end so that you can streamline this for your workout as if we were in a session together. This is my favorite transition into the rollover. So from the roll up, we are going to roll backward as if we were doing another repetition. But as our back reaches the floor, the hands go down by our side, and then we développé the legs in and up to the ceiling. With legs together and feet flexed, scoop the low abdominals in as you bring the legs overhead. Keep the toes off the floor. Once you're overhead with the legs parallel to the floor, point your feet and then separate your legs so that your thighs are shoulder distance apart. Keeping the thighs away from the stomach, so trying to maintain the 90-degree hip fold, press your triceps and hands into the floor so you can slowly peel down one vertebra at a time until the ribs hit the low back, the pelvis, and then finally the legs reaching that 90-degree hip fold. From the feet pointed and separate position, scoop the low abdominals in as you roll the legs overhead. Keep the toes off the floor. Once you're overhead, flex the feet, bring the legs together, and then slowly roll the spine down again, pressing the triceps and hands into the ground until your pelvis touches the floor. From the roll up, roll backward, placing the hands on the mat next to your hips, développing the legs in and up to the ceiling, creating your 90-degree hip fold. Legs are together, feet are flexed as we roll the legs overhead, bringing the legs parallel to the floor. Point your feet, separate your legs shoulder distance, and slowly roll down one vertebra at a time, pressing the triceps and hands into the mat as you lower the low back, the pelvis, and the legs to their 90-degree position. Flex the feet, bring the legs together, scoop the low belly in as you roll the legs overhead, trying to maintain a 90-degree hip fold the whole time. Once you're overhead, keeping those toes off the floor, point your feet, separate your legs shoulder distance, and then slowly roll the spine down one vertebra at a time. Press the triceps into the mat, the hands into the mat, lowering the low back, the pelvis, and then finally the legs at their 90-degree hip fold. One more time, flexing the feet, bringing the legs together, pressing those triceps and hands into the mat as you scoop your low belly in to roll the legs over your head, keeping the toes off the floor. Point through the feet, separate the legs shoulder distance, and then slowly roll down one vertebra at a time. Keep pressing those triceps into the mat, the hands into the mat, lowering through the low back, the pelvis. And then once you're at 90, keep the feet pointed, keep the legs separate as you reverse, scooping the legs overhead until they're parallel with the floor. Once you're overhead, flex through the feet, bring the legs together, press the triceps and hands into the mat as you slowly lower yourself down one vertebra at a time until we have the 90-degree hip fold. The feet are still flexed, the legs are together, and then we're going to point. This is rep number 2. Separate the legs, scoop the low belly in, press your triceps and hands into the floor as you roll the legs overhead. Keep that 90-degree hip fold even with the legs overhead as you flex the feet and bring the legs together. Press your triceps into the floor, press your hands into the floor as you slowly lower your spine down one vertebra at a time through the low back, the hips, bringing the legs to their 90-degree. Last time, pointing through the feet, separating the legs, scooping the low belly in as you roll your legs overhead. Keep those thighs away from your face. Once you're overhead, flex through the feet, bring the legs together, And then finally, this is your last roll down, pressing the triceps into the floor, the hands into the floor as you roll down one vertebra at a time, bringing those legs to their 90-degree position.